be here today and share my knowledge with all of you. And I would like to thank ABAPConference for the great opportunity to connect and dive into some hands-on coding. So the agenda for today's topic is small. I want to have a small agenda and more code snippets at the end. So let's start with a few words about me. So my name is George. I'm George Drakos. I'm an SAP technical consultant. And I started my professional career as an AI developer, building neural networks. And to be honest, it sounds strange to say that I switched from AI to SAP. But I was eager to bridge my technical expertise with the business, and SAP provided me with this gateway, to be honest. I started in consulting for 5 years, and I recently switched to an in-house company called Teja, which is a payment solutions company based in London. So, as everyone, I suppose, I started my career with a focus on the backend development with exit, budget, reports, the core ABAP, let's say, not all the fancy new words like ABAP Cloud, ABAP on the cloud, business technology platform. And as SAP evolved, I transitioned from SAP programming model to CDS, MDB, virtual data models. And then I started playing with Fiori and to build some more data services with annotations, etc. Today, I'm trying to explore all the advanced models like RAP in order to build cloud-ready services. But in our session, we're going to talk about our beloved language, ABAP. And more specifically, we're going to talk about the, let's say, advanced new ABAP. So let's start by saying what is the so-called advanced new ABAP. It's actually started my idea, that inspired by real-life experience. And then it transitioned to a series of articles that I published on the LinkedIn. The idea is how we can actually use the new ABAP syntax, 7.4 or even 7.5 and later, in a, let's say, smart or advanced way. And I mean, first of all, how to combine the different commands like constructor operators or even constructor operators with runtime type services, OpenSQL, in order to achieve the outcome without extensive code and without intermediate temporary variables. Example given is like how we can combine the value constructor operator with lines in order to count specific records of an internal table. Also, a very important point is to reveal some not so well-known or easily forgotten commands that many times can be really useful. Actually, recently I encountered a problem that discarded duplicates. Addition of the corresponding was very useful. Didn't know that. So in today's session, we're going to see 7 already published advanced new ABAP code snippets and their usage, of course, and some of them that haven't been published. So it's like a sneak peek to the new article that's going to come. In brief, the presentation will include constructor expressions, obviously, Boolean functions, table function, and most importantly, how we can combine them in order to achieve the desired outcome. Benefits. What are the benefits for us, for the developers, for our daily tasks? First of all, advanced ABAP is all about enhancing the capabilities of the ABAP language itself. For developers, it offers the opportunity to explore new features that make coding more efficient and powerful. So with the introduction of modern syntax, complex tasks that once in the past require extensive effort can now be simplified. Okay, so these improvements help streamline development, reduce code complexity, and at the end, enable us as developers to focus on delivering the solutions faster while leveraging all the potential that ABAP has to offer. Some practical use cases, just to familiarize ourselves, is how we can, for example, a simple one, how to convert the table directly into type range from SQL statement, which is very handy, because when you need the database table only to filter something later in your code, you can do it directly. You don't have to put it in a database table and then convert it. And the second one on the right is the value operator with the lines addition. So we're having 2 internal tables, the T1 and T2, and we directly create a target one combining both of them, and also add some new lines if needed. Very important point is the challenge and considerations. So the point of my presentation is not just about learning new syntax or features. Okay, actually, I want to represent a shift in how we approach development as a whole. So I want to encourage developers to think beyond traditional procedural coding and embrace principles like modularity, scalability, and reusability. And by saying that, I mean breaking down solutions into smaller, manageable components that can be easily maintained and extended over time. So it's really important for all of us to know what is Clean ABAP. I've here the Clean ABAP repository, and also two very important books, sub-press books, the Clean ABAP book and the ABAP to the Future. And additionally, it requires adopting a mindset that, let's say, prioritizes innovation and efficiency. Okay, so there is also a very good session that my friend George Manusaridis presented 2 years ago in the ABAP conference 2022, if I remember correctly, which is tweaking ABAP. But our session is not just use all the new features that ABAP has to offer, but how we can combine all of them in order to achieve the result. So let's stop the presentation now. I'm going to switch to the Eclipse, and we're going to bring everything we've discussed into life with some code. So let's go to the Eclipse. I have created a global class, and I have also included the interface in order to run our class in the console. And we're going to develop together in order to explain, and also I would like to present my turn of thought behind all of this code that I'm going to develop. Let's start with the first point, which is, let's say, something that I discovered recently is, line exists. I think everyone has used line exist, but has something that's missing. Line exist can only use the equal comparison operator, and you cannot use a not equal or lower than or greater than. So there's a way we can get over it using the reduce. So let's start with the first point. Line exist with comparison operators. I will keep commenting the code in order to understand every part of it. So first of all, let's select from just a demo table as flight, all of the fields, and we're going to insert the entries, the internal table. Okay, so the goal here is actually to check if there is a line where car ID, okay, is not equal to an amount. The traditional way is to have a temporary variable, let's say, for example, price not exists, loop the table with a where clause, and if we get into the loop, we can then assign the ABAP true value into the variable. But how we can use the reduce in order to do this with only one line of code? Let's say if reduce, we're going to have an ABAP bool variable. First, we're going to initialize, let's say, price not equal to 22. First, ABAP false. Then we're going to loop the table. Let's say for ls line in LTS flight, where now here's the magic happens, not equal to 422. Next. close the end. So format, check. So here, actually, we can reduce directly into the condition. So if there is a line in the table that the car ID is not equal to 422, then we can implement the logic, here. Also, a very important point that you can do here, you can also use contain string greater than, greater equal. You can use everything. It's like, let's say, line exists on steroids. And this is the first advanced new ABAP code snippet. We're going to comment it, and we'll go to the next one, which is my beloved corresponding operator. So we're going to copy this and corresponding. So corresponding operator actually transfer entries between tables or between a structure and an internal table. But something that I discovered is that we can use the corresponding operator together with an append or insert in order to move table structure into internal table. But that's not the point. The point is that if we use corresponding with, let's say, insert, we can also use the mapping that corresponding provides and can also exclude some fields from the target table. So let's say we're going to declare an sales header table, internal table. Okay, this one. This is actually a table type, feedback, not something special, just a standard table with non-unique key. And we're going to select data, single actually, in order to select, to get only a structure from ABAP. And let's say we're going to select VBEL as order, RDAT as creation date, and let's say Ernam, doesn't matter. Into data ls sales item. Great. Now, the goal here is actually to insert this structure into this table. But this table does not have a component order or a creation date, so we can use mapping. And we also want to exclude the Ernam from the final table. So we can do the following: insert corresponding, mapping, and then the VBEL of this table is equal to order of this table. And also the RDAT is equal to creation date. And finally, in order to exclude the Ernam field, we can use the except addition into table sales header. We're going to use this as an output. Format, check, and then activate our code. Okay, let's put a breakpoint here, execute the code. Great. So here we have the structure. The final table now is empty, but when we insert corresponding, we have one line here, VBEL, enter that. And here's the final result of the corresponding. So let's call it in conjunction with insert, and also it works with append. Now we'll stay on the corresponding operator, and we're going to use another great feature of ABAP, which is corresponding with lookup table. So what's the point of this? So this version of corresponding actually performs a lookup on another internal table. It works, imagine like it's just like a left outer join. So if the lookup table contains no fields matching original table, then only the original table contents are transferred to the results. Okay, we'll create our own structure type. Let's say call it country. And we are going to have two components, country and one more component. Let's call it not country name, country text. We're going to use mapping afterwards. So country text, and we're going to use the field country name. Now we'll create the table type, country with default key. Okay. Now let's construct our original table. Let's say local table original is equal to value tt country, and let's now use two country keys, gr, my home country, and also ABAP conference country, let's say the. And now we will create our lookup table. So let's select from our country text. Let's select all the fields. We don't care about the performance now, where language equals to logon language. Okay. Into table. Format and then check. So now time for our beloved corresponding. So result lookup. So we're going to construct a table type tt country and original, call it local table original from. Now this is, let's say, the left outer join takes place. LT local table lookup using on the join condition country equals to country. And we can also add the mapping. For our case, we're going to map the country name of the lookup table to the country text of the original table. So mapping, say country text equals to country name. Okay. So we have an error here. The lookup table must be a sorted or hash table for this to work. So we'll go back and declare our lookup table. And let's say Yes, that will declare it directly without creating a type. Let's say lookup type hash table of iCountry text with unique key country, I guess. No need to define it here. So we're going to check now, format, and activate our code. And the code is ready. I will put a breakpoint here and here. And now, our original table here has two lines with the country key gr and d. We select all the data from the country text in the lookup table, and then we use a left outer join to the LT lookup table in order to retrieve the country text, which in the database table is the country name. And if I press execute here, you can see that the result lookup table has the country and also the country text in it. Forgot to change the output, but you get the point. Remove all. Clear, then execute. And here you go. Now, let's go to the next code. I'm going to comment this. All of these codes are going to be on a repository that I have created, which is the ABAPConf 2024 on GitHub. I will upload everything after our session. Comment also this for now. And let's go to our next, which is actually a standard loop at an internal table, but it's an internal table that we have declared. We are going to loop at value. So this is really handy in some cases, trust me. Let's first create a type, let's say table type spfli, type standard table of with default key. And now we're going to create two internal tables, the lt spfli1, okay, and also the lt spfli2. Okay, everything is okay for now. And let's fill both of the tables with some data from our database. And let's say the first one, we're going to use the car ID equals to AA. And the second one, of table here, to where car ID, let's say, equals to AZ. Great. So now we fill the two internal tables, the first one with car ID AA and then with car ID AZ. Now we're going to do the following. We're going to loop at value. Our value is this value, spfli test. And then my favorite addition on the values, on the value constructor operator is the lines of lt spflee _1. So we're going to loop the first table, then we're going to loop the second table, and let's say assigning field symbol called fs. Okay, but the magic here is that you can even add custom lines, like let's say car ID equals to whatever, AV here. So we don't need a third table in order to transfer these entries and also some custom entries. We can do all of the magic here directly into the value. But it's really important here to explicitly declare the type, the table type that you want to loop. So let's put a breakpoint, 8080 line. So activate, execute. So 2 entries on the first table, 4 entries on the second table, and then our field symbol has the AA, then the AZ of the second table, and finally the AV of the last I declared actually, so we don't have any other data, but you get the point. You can even use a functional method here to get values. You can do everything you want. So that's it for the value, for the looped value expression. And we're going to the next one. Go to comment. This one, comment. Copy the comment. And then I believe this is my favorite one. So I think most of us have used the filter operator in order to filter some values from one table to another table. And we can now even use the value constructor operator in conjunction with the lines of and cont. So a big advantage of this method is that we can actually use it for any type of internal table. You know, filter has some limitations regarding the table type. So let's call it advanced filtering of internal table. And first of all, we declare an flights table type. Let's call it okay. This one actually is type name of is a standard table of okay, it's like a flight database table. And we're going to select from a flight fields. I will not use asterisk. This time I will use the, let's say, car ID, con ID, and then FL date into corresponding table flights. Now, let's create a target table. I will call it, let's say, filtered flights and value and first of all, we're going to loop our original table from the database in LT flights And here we're going to use our favorite addition, which is lines of cont. So let's say when the date, the flight date, I think the departure date, the FL date is lower equals to today's date, then don't need this one. Then we're going to append the line. Close it. So let's do it like this. Okay. Did I miss here? Okay. I think one more. Doesn't close. I think I missed some parentheses here. Lines of cont have to go cont, then value. Let's close it. Problems. FS. Right. So component. Okay, I will use this. Here we go. Sorry for this. At missed. I think I have a typo here. I will just copy paste this one. Okay, so now we use the LT flights, this table, and then we have the following condition. If the flying date, the departure date, is lower or equal to the current date, then we append the line. Else, we don't use the line. So it's like using a filter without using a filter. And it works with all kinds of tables, like standard table, like hash table, sorted table, anything can work. So let's uncomment the out now. We're going to use this one. Going to format, check, and then activate. I think now here, execute. Great. We have the filter flights, which contains obviously less lines than our original one, original table. And because we have set this condition here. And data type not yet supported. I don't know why, but we get this error. So another thing that I would like to point is that string templates actually something that I use a lot for my daily tasks. And something that I found is that we can even use temporary variables, cont, functional methods, functional expressions, everything inside the string template. So for example, here, the right gate of the ADT, this method, okay, has a type string. So we can do the following here. Instead of writing ABAP conference 2024, we can, for example, we can do a conf string, then declare two variables like ABAPConf year 2024. Great. Then we can use the event name ABAPConf, and then in now comes the string template. Here. Let's say the event, the name of the event, event name, year, and we're good. Here we can use anything we want. We can even use, let's say, a variable to get the year dynamically, or whatever. We can call a method. We can do whatever we want here. It's really handy. So we can avoid any intermediate, let's say, variables, temporary variables, and you can also make dynamic code for the name, for the output. So let's execute. Yes, execute. We have this strange error, type not yet supported. Sorry for that. I will use something else for our example. Let's say this, doesn't matter. Activate and execute. Clear. The event ABAPConf year 2024. And because we have 9 more minutes to go, I will have several codes to present, but I will go to a quick one for the end. And now we'll use the filter for filtering an internal table, but I don't want actually to create a new internal table. I want to count the lines of an internal table for a specific condition. So I'm going to do the following. Let's say count internal table lines. So in order to get line count, we can, for a certain condition, we can use the reduce operator, but I would like to present another way to achieve the same task. We can combine the power of filter and lines in order to achieve the same task. Okay, but we have to keep in our mind that we have to declare an internal table, assorted or hashed, in order for the filter to work. So let's create the types, begin of, let's say, the spflee, whatever. We'll use only one component to make it short, scar id, and end of the spflee. Great. Now let's go to table type, spflee, table of the spflee with non-unique key RID. Let's say this is the correct one. Okay. Now I want to select data from database fields only car ID for our case into table. Let's say okay. Now instead of using reduce now, we're going to use lines and filter and a where clause in order to filter the table for a certain condition. So let's say lines, number of lines, whatever. We're going to use lines, then filter, our table where char ID equals to, let's say, LH, whatever, LH. This conf here is really important for the where clause to work. If you just insert LH, it won't work. So don't forget it. Breakpoint here. I'm also using ABAP Cleaner, which let's say a pretty printer on steroids. Let's press it now. I'm going to check, then activate. Okay. Come on. Why? Probably I found a bug here because I can't insert the breakpoint. Don't know why. We will do it the other way. Execute. So we are here. We select all the database table entries. We have 26 lines. And we filter based on the char ID. So we keep only the number of lines where the char ID equals to LH. And the total number of lines in our case are five total lines. If you go to count, let's say, unique lines, for example, only the lines that you have to group by in order to retrieve unique, you have to use the reduce operator in conjunction with group by, but that's for another topic. So this was the last code snippet that I want to present to you. So that's all. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks the ABAP conference for the experience, for everything.